Welcome to the Rose City, Rip City, Stumptown, and Bridgetown. Welcome to the first My Real Portland, the podcast. I'm My Real Portland host, Joseph Lyons. I am so grateful you've tuned in and you're about to meet four amazing Portland originals, a comedian, a storyteller, a florist, and a musician. Each My Real Portland episode will feature amazing artists and performers from all around the city. I'll ask them each the Fast Five, and then I'll throw in a game show on top of it all for a fun night out with friends, German food, and ale. Tonight's show was recorded live at Portland's Jade Lounge next to the Slide Inn at 23rd and Ankeny on March 28, 2018. Our next show is going to be Wednesday, April 25th at 7 p.m., happy hour at 6:30. Speaking of Portland originals, this show is produced by myself, Joseph Lyons, Portland Realtor, helping home buyers and sellers make their real dreams become real estate. Putting this show together is my real dream, and I support this fun hobby with my professional day job in real estate. And my career is all word of mouth, so please tell others you know of My Real Portland, the Realtor, Joseph Lyons. That's josephlyons.com. And now, on with the show.
It's always been home, I've always been here, I've always got time for one more beer, so pick up a beer and pull up a chair and strike up the band. It's My Real Portland.
Hello and welcome everybody to My Real Portland, the podcast. Coming to you live from the verdant Jade Lounge at 23rd and Southeast Ankeny in my hometown, Portland, Oregon. This is My Real Portland, highlighting real people and real stories from all around the area. I'm your host, Joseph Lyons, and I've got a great show lined up for you this evening. I've known him for over a quarter of a century, restaurateur and singer-songwriter Joaquin Lopez. She's the exquisite owner of Spellbound Flowers at Pioneer Courthouse Square, Nico Bella. And he's recently begun a storytelling series at the Mission Theater called Our Bold Voices. He's a storyteller, Paul Iarrobino. And there's no tigers or bears here tonight, but there are two lions. Comedian Brandon Lyons, everyone. Oh, so I have a podcast now. And I can talk about anything that I want to, so why don't I talk about the weather? And it is such beautiful weather today. It actually changed for the first time, and we've had really bad weather, and there's been bad weather all across the United States. I mean, there's been flooding in California, and the four east are over on the East Coast, and the entire nation is under a big cloud called Stormy Daniels. My first joke, and it worked. Okay, and we'll have no more of that tonight. So tonight, My Real Portland is all about firsts. So this is my first very podcast. You heard my first very theme song play right before here. So just a little story about that. That is was composed by a songwriter for one of my favorite podcasts, The Todd Glass Show. And he's a local artist. His name is Joe McKenzie. And he's been doing songs for the Todd Glass Show for years. And just on a whim last week, I finally asked him if Joe, and I've never met this guy in my life. He was on Twitter, and I was like, hey, Joe, would you mind putting together a little theme song for me? And so that was my theme song. So connected to one of my most favorite podcasts in the world, and I'm so excited to have it. So I've been getting into something really new lately, and some of you may have been doing this too. It's called aging. So a couple of years ago, I just stopped wanting to leave my house. It was this weird thing. I just stopped. And so I decided that I really need to get out and see some shows. And that took me like 3 years, and I still hadn't gone out, and I figured if I want to go out and see a show, I might as well just create the show I want to see myself. So here it is. So now it's time for the show. My first guest can be seen at Al's Den and Helium Comedy Club on a regular basis, and you may have seen him at the 2017 Pickathon. He's been around the region from Bend to Seattle, and he's probably the guest with the best last name tonight, Brandon Lyons.
it up for Joey Lyons putting this thing together. First podcast show. That wasn't bad. Are you doing stand-up too, or just doing podcasts? I don't know. You should check it out. I'll take you to some open mics. It'll be fun. I also appreciate you not making the last name thing weird. Usually, when I meet a white person with the same last name as me, they make a weird joke about it. So I appreciate you not mentioning ownership or anything there, and because that's why we have the same last name, everybody. I know it sucks when you say it out loud, right? It sucks when you say it out loud. I'm happy to be in Portland. Like he's saying, the weather's getting better. I'm just trying to make it to summer without being completely white, and I'll be happy. If I just have a little bit of black, a little bit of my shade, when summer comes, I'll be happy, because I like being white. It's great. It's not all that it's crackered up to be, though. You know what I'm saying? Being white in Portland is mostly just standing in line at Salt and Straw. Like, just right. Or Screen Door right over here, right? Yeah. Then taking your cow out on a leash to the park. Like, that's a pretty white thing to do, too, by the way. And I can say these things. I am white. I'm half white. Mixed, I say, instead of, like, interracial or anything like that. Because I don't want to think about my parents and porn in the same thought. You know what I mean? Come on. Ma, do better? Yeah, come on in. We're having a great show. Yeah, how you doing? Just talking about race. You're going to love it. You're required to love it. Just kidding. I like smoking weed, so today I got super high, and I went to the mall, and I flirted with a mannequin for like 30 seconds. In my defense, it was like a thick-ass mannequin, like a super sexy-ass mannequin. Pants were just fitting just right. You guys ever see a mannequin so sexy, you like want to ask the people at the store if you can watch them put the pants on the mannequin? Never? You never seen that? You haven't been to the JCPenney's at Lloyd Center, sir. Like, it's my favorite mannequins there. The best part about coming in your pants at JCPenney's, you guys, because there are many different parts about coming in your pants at JCPenney's, but the best part is that you can buy new pants for like $14. You can have a new wardrobe for like $28, you guys. What did you think was going to happen when I went up here tonight? You knew I was... All right. Just so we're sure. Just so we're clean. I do like smoking weed. My mom knows this, so she's trying to like scare me off of smoking weed. She tells me, "Hey, Brandon, when you smoke weed, it increases your heart attack risk by 4 times." But I hear this when I'm high, so it increases it by 1,000,000 times, you guys. It's the scariest thing in the world. I don't like buying weed, though. I feel like it's a test. Every time I go in there to buy it, they always ask dumb questions like, "What do you want the weed to do for you?" Like, I want it to get me high. Are you a cop? You know what weed does. Why are you asking me this? They say, "Know what activities you planning on doing on this weed? You gonna mow the lawn on this weed? You gonna do the dishes on this weed? You gonna call your grandma on this weed? Do you want to call your grandma for like 5 minutes, or do you want to have like a really long conversation with grandma?" I don't really know what to say to that. I know I want a good weed. I know I want a weed that will make me seem like I have Asperger's. Like, I know that for sure, right? Like, give me a weed that puts me on the spectrum just a little bit. Like, that's... Long stairs is what okay. But you can't say that. That's offensive. I was told that is offensive. You can't say that. But what you can say is, give me a weed that will make me think I should put out candles by clapping at them. Do you have that one? They usually got that one in the back. I have a great job to do when you're high. I have an amazing job to do when you're high. I'm a dog walker. The reason why that's such a great job to do when you're high, because you will connect more with that dog than at any other time. Like, you will know what the dog is thinking. The dog doesn't have to be high. Definitely helps to get the dog a little bit high before the walk, because you don't have to walk as far if the dog is high, you guys. Get stuck at that first bush just smelling all of his friends. It's great. Being a dog walker, I found out, is mostly just staring at assholes, praying that the poop's gonna be solid. Like, that's... Please come out solid this time. Make it worth it. Because if it's not solid, I'm letting the rain take care of it, to be honest. It's not, the $12 isn't worth it to pick it up, like string it out of the grass. It's just not. Like when it's solid, it's actually kind of fun to pick up. They stick to each other. It's great. When you have a dog, you'll get it. But people don't like this. That's the whole reason you don't have a dog? To pick up the shit? Yeah. Or you can be like me, just walk away from it. Just look around real quick and just keep moving. Like that's, if you have looked outside, everybody does it. No one picks up their dog shit. It's everywhere. But if the person whose house it is catches you, they might say something to you. If they see the dog shitting on their lawn, so you could take out a doggy bag. This is what I do. I take out a doggy bag and I pick up some rocks right next to the poop. That way I feel better and they feel better until they step in the shit later. Then they're going to be mad. Real upset. Man. I like walking around Portland neighborhoods because I feel important. Like I see a lot of Black Lives Matter signs everywhere. It's like a great, I feel like, ooh, I matter over here. I matter over there. Oop, this house I don't matter. Better get to the next one. Matter again. Okay, sweet. It's weird though, because like, does anybody in here have a Black Lives Matter sign at their house? You do. Thank you. She's the only not racist one in here, by the way. You guys, you told on yourselves. But ma'am, have you ever, like, when I see a Black Lives Matter sign, have you ever thought about like when you see a black guy walk by, like, or a black woman, bringing out like a glass of Kool-Aid to them, just to like, it's like on a hot day or anything? You ever thought about like, or like a plate of nice pork chops, something, just like a good food, like, you ever thought about cooking dinner and bringing it? Because when I see those houses, I'm like, oh, I matter, but I feel like I should be able to go in that house and like make a sandwich or something. You know what I mean? Like what? Exactly. Like, because I don't know if you guys know this, but we're not getting any like direct benefits from those signs. Like don't actually get a check every time one of those is bought, unfortunately. But my thing is, I like the signs. I love the signs. I know I'm going to be welcome when I go to a house with the Black Lives Matter sign. When I'm dog walking and I show up to a house with the Black Lives Matter sign, I know the tips are about to be fat. Like, I just know it. Like, that, if they're not, something's fucked up. But what I wish was that we didn't have more Black Lives Matter signs than black people. Like, that's just the weird. I didn't really want to make you guys laugh, more to make you feel uncomfortable tonight. I think that's what I was going to go for. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. What do you guys like? Do you guys like fingering jokes? Do you guys like jokes about fingering? Kinda. What about? Yeah, I like the fingering jokes. He told. Okay, well, I'm on Tinder. Well, I used to be on Tinder. I got off of it because I found love. Yeah, you can find love on Tinder. It exists. Love or Tinder? Oh, they're different. There's, but love is where you don't care how long it takes you to come anymore. That's what love is. Exactly. No, I'm not leaving off that. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna leave very soon. Don't worry. No, okay. So I was on Tinder. I found love. Word of advice for fellas: if you're looking for love on Tinder, only go to first dates to places where you can use chopsticks, and that's just to show off that finger work right away. You know what I'm saying? Every girl in here is wet as fuck because I was doing this. I'm sorry. I'll put it away. Or super dry because I just said that. Which one? I don't know. I'm sorry if that offended any women. I don't want to offend any women in here. I'm a black man. We go through some of the same struggles in life. Women and black people. Like, we can't eat bananas in public without being harassed, you know? Okay, that's a fucking hilarious joke, you guys. I thought it was me before. Now I know it's you guys. That's a great joke, all right? Think about that one later. Different reasons. I look like a monkey. Something to do with the dick for you, ma'am. I don't know. Okay. All right, but I did find love on Tinder. I found a black girl in Portland, you guys, which is like that's a very hard thing to do. Finding a black girl in Portland is like finding a diamond in the whitest rough you've ever. But she's great. I love her. She told me that her ex put a curse on her. I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty Portland. That's a Portland thingy. I was like, how did he put a curse on you? She's like, he sent me a text that said, I put a curse on you. And I'm like, that's not how curses work. That's, unless Verizon has the new curse plan where you pay $39.99 extra month, you get some crystals, and you get to fuck people's lives up. That's not how curses work. She's like, no, and now I believe it, and now when anything bad happens, I think it's because of him and this curse. And I'm like, you're a black woman. When something bad happens, it's because of the government. What are you talking about? Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Lyons. Brandon Lyons, get back up here. So, Brandon, I look fantastic eating a banana, by the way, in public.
Do you do any extras with it, or you just?
Oh no.
What's your process?
It's me eating it.
Okay.
I mean, come on. Okay, so I have some questions for you. So you host shows at Al's Den and Helium. Helium, by the way, has anyone been to Helium Comedy Club in Portland? One of the premier comedy clubs in all of America. So, who have you gotten to work with at Helium? Who's awesome there?
Dan Cummins. I worked with a great dude, great podcast, Time Suck. Just worked with Chris Hardwick. He was a great guy as well.
Oh, I love Chris.
Great fans. His shows were packed out every night. Have you guys, Nicole Byer, she's hilarious. She has a show on Amazon.
The new muffin show.
Yeah.
Baking show.
She's baking the baking show.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
And there's a lot of really fantastic odd rooms around town. What's some of the oddest gigs that you've done here?
I did a show at a sex club where we were supposed to warm up. A lot of people that look like you guys, actually. I think I saw you there, sir. I don't know. We're supposed to warm them up, and then they pay $10. We warm them up for sex, and then they fuck afterwards, I guess. I don't know. I left. I usually leave after my sets. I definitely left after my set, that one. Yeah.
All I can think is how many bananas did they have there? So let's do some plugs. How can people follow you?
Not Brandon Lyons on all social media platforms.
Awesome. And any gigs coming up?
I'm at Al's Den every Friday, Saturday. Follow my Twitter. I got gigs all the time.
Awesome. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Lyons. Oh, wait. That sound means it's time for the Fast Five. I totally even forgot. Let's do that sting again. That sound means it's time for the Fast Five. Here's tonight's Fast Five. Who and where was your first concert or show in Portland?
It was Wiz Khalifa at the Roseland. The weed jokes, you guys.
What's your first pick for a romantic night out in Portland? You're on Tinder now.
I don't. The Zoo Lights was a great move for me. That was my most recent success. I'm gonna say Zoo Lights.
Did that work?
Yes.
Awesome. When you have friends come in from out of town, where do you want to take them first?
That sex club, yeah. The sex club, $10 sex club is a great place. There are more expensive sex clubs, but why would you want to go to that? You want to go to the real grimy shit, you know?
There's
above
versions of sex clubs in town?
Yeah, there's $10 sex clubs. I'm sure there's a $12 sex club. A senior discount sex club.
Is there a
Tinder It's called Grinder, I think, right?
Okay, what's your first pick for a day trip away from Portland?
I like the beach. I like our beach. It's windy and it's cold and it's kind of ugly, but I like it. You know, I like the beach. What's the place with the big ass hill at the beach? I always forget the name of it.
Pacific City.
That place is awesome. You walk up like this giant sand hill and then these great views above it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my favorite places.
That place.
Awesome.
Place that I don't know the name of is my favorite place.
That's great. If you could rename a street, any street in Portland, what's the first name that comes to mind?
Like Gentrification Ave is too easy, right? What about like Colonizer Boulevard? Is that too easy?
I think we
You
have
guys
a
have to-
couple of those already. Stark Avenue. All right. Thank you. Once again, Brendan Lyons, everybody. I've known my next guest since I started working at Loaves and Fishes Centers years ago, and he remembers me from a little bit earlier when I was the founder of Friends of Lone Fir Cemetery. He's now the founder of Our Bold Voices, a storytelling series that supports local organizations, and I am so excited to have you here tonight. Please welcome Paul Iarrobino.
Warm-up music. I feel like I'm on the Mike Douglas show or something. I just came out of the restroom, and it must have been power of suggestion, but I felt like I was high in there. If you go in there, just as sort of a side note, don't put this on your podcast, but it has these rocks, and it's a surf. Have you been in there? Yeah, it's really kind of cool. Okay, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about a first. Is that what the theme is tonight, Joey? Yeah. So I want to tell you my favorite story tonight. Can I do that? So Joey and I know each other from the work in aging. I just retired from aging, although I'm too young to retire from aging, but I got out. And I have my favorite elder, who I just took to the doctor's appointment 2 days ago, and she's 78. And I met her like 10, 11 years ago. And her name is Mary Beth. And Mary Beth is from down south. She was raised in Memphis, and then her and her partner moved to Texas. And then as older lesbians, they wanted to like go to the promised land, so they came to Portland. But when she came here with her southern accent and all, she was like, this is fucking Portland, okay? So it's very weird. So we quickly bonded and we learned from each other, because we have sort of like, I'm a Yankee from Boston, she's from down south, there's generational differences, so we were helping each other out. So one day she said to me, and she also, here's the thing, she likes me so much to this day, she calls me Brother Paul. So she's like, Brother Paul. And although the other day when I took her to the appointment, I was Cousin Paul, because I went into the primary care appointment because they rush it through fast food. So she's like, I was Cousin Paul for that appointment. So I'm Brother Paul. And then she says to me, Brother Paul, does Chris sing in the choir? And I said, well, you know, I'm not sure. You know, she's in that Unitarian Universalist church, which is kind of like a church, and I'm not sure if they have a choir. And she's like, Brother Paul in the choir, is she a lesbian? Oh, like, why don't you just ask? I don't know this code stuff. So anyway, so she's teaching me, and I'm teaching her, and she was starting this group for older folks getting access to housing. And they had their first meeting, and she called me, and she's like, Brother Paul, we had our first meeting, and we have an acronym, and I want to run it by you. We want to be called the Hoes. Housing our elders. We're going to be the Hoes. What is that? I was like, oh. I was like, Mary Beth, I don't think that you can use that, especially in politically correct Portland. And I said, do you even know what a hoe is? Of course I do, Brother Paul, she says. It's a farming implement. Yes, it is. And it's something else. Do you know how hard it is to tell a 74-year-old woman the other definition of the word hoe? It wasn't pretty. And once she got it, she's like, oh, we better cancel that letterhead. So they went back to the drawing board and they became Share. So it all worked out. Okay. What's that?
Please say it's C-H-E-R.
No. Cher with an S. Not that farewell tour lady. No, not Cher. So anyway, so now a couple of years go by, and this is the story because it's also my first. I was in that, speaking of gentrification, that Mississippi district. This is when it was like starting to change. I was about to go into Gravy for the first time, and I was with 3 friends, and I got a call on my cell phone. And it was for a number I didn't recognize. So today I wouldn't answer it because it's telemarketing folks, but I answered it. And it was Mary Beth. And she says, Brother Paul. She sounded really anxious. And I was like, Mary Beth, I didn't even know you had a cell phone, because she's always had a landline. And she says, Brother Paul, I only use it in case of an emergency. And I was like, holy shit. This is my sister Mary Beth, and I have my friends like, just come here. Like, I've got to help my sister out, because she was sounding really squirrely. So I'm like, Mary Beth, what is going on? Mary Beth was really panicked, and she says, Brother Paul, if I lost my mind, would you tell me? And I was like, yes, I would totally tell you, lying. Tell me what's going on. And this is when I learned about this first that I didn't even know about, having lived here for all these years. She says to me, I was driving over the Burnside Bridge, and I had to pull over. And I'm like, holy shit, like medical emergency. Does she have the lifeline? Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And I'm like, Mary Beth, what is it? And she's struggling. And she says, Brother Paul, do you know anything about naked people on bicycles? And I was like, no, I don't know anything about naked people. She's I see hundreds and hundreds of naked people on bicycles coming toward me on the Burnside Bridge. I had to pull over. Fuck. So I asked my friends, like, what is, like, there's naked people on bicycles today? And they're all like, we're in the Mississippi District. Of course, it's the annual naked bike ride. And I was like, really? Oh, that's a thing? Yeah. I get back on the phone, because Mary Beth was like absolutely losing her fucking Kool-Aid over this. And I said, Mary Beth, it's the national, naked bike ride today. And there's this sort of like this heavy breathing and not really getting it. And then she says in a wonderful Southern accent, why? Why, brother, why is there a naked? And I was like, that's a great question. So I find out that there is a reason for the naked bicycle ride, because we're protesting fossil fuels, which I didn't know. It's my first time too. Did y'all know that? I don't know. You all know about the naked bike ride, right? Yeah, see, fuck, I'm ever important but me, Mary Beth. So I said, they're protesting fossil fuels and all kinds of things. So it's Portland. And then there's more taking it all in, and Mary Beth says, Brother Paul, I am pretty sure that would be illegal in the state of Texas. My friends tell me the same thing. Yes, I agree, Mary Beth. That probably would be illegal in the state of Texas. And then it's hitting her now, because like the naked bicyclists are getting closer and closer, and they're swarming around her car, and she's like seeing it, but she's not imagining it. And then I knew she was better when she said to me, Brother Paul, some people should not be naked when they're riding their bicycles. Gravity has not been kind to her. Good to go, Mary Beth. So that was my first introduction to Portland's naked bike ride. And that was the first time that Mary Beth experienced that with me. And it's one of my favorite stories. And the post to that story is, I told her that I told the story, and she says, oh, Brother Paul, there's a new piece to this, because she's now moved into a new apartment, and the guy across the way was leaving one day in his bicycle, and he was naked. And Mary Beth said to me, oh, I just figured it was the annual naked bicycle ride. So that's my story. Hope you liked it. There's a first for everything, including naked bicycle rides. Thank you.
Give it up for Paul Iarrobino.
I'm in the guest chair. Oh.
So, Paul,
Yes.
we've known each other for a long time.
A long time.
A long time. And you are actually a big inspiration for the show tonight. You have a natural gift of encouraging others to be courageous and fearless, and including your being the founder of Our Bold Voices. Tell us what Our Bold Voices is all about.
So Our Bold Voices is our, in terms of community, bold voices. So I mentor new storytellers because I often hear like, I don't have a funny story, or I don't have a story. But you know what? We all have a story. We just need to know how to tell it and feel comfortable in it. So that's what I do. I mentor storytellers, and it gives them a different way to use their voice, and then it just kind of inspires people because it's pretty fun to tell a story.
Yes, it is. And so, how do you get people to find their story and bring it out? I mean, just this past week, we've seen kids all over the nation speak in front of groups of thousands. I mean, so inspiring.
Yes.
How do you help people tap into that inner source and find that inner story to tell and get that out in front of people?
It's a great question. It's also a great reference to what's going on nationally. What I try to tap into is the why, like why tell the story. And I believe that we all sort of have so much in our head, and we don't always think about the why. And so sometimes when I'm working with new storytellers, why? And it's not from a place of judgment, but just sort of this detached curiosity. And then you find some amazing stories when you just are with somebody to allow them that chance. And so that's what I do. And then I do storyboards with folks. We sit down and I help them sort of create a storyboard, which is just a way of just kind of putting some thoughts together, and then they kind of go back with it, and then they kind of own it, and before you know it, it's like they've got a story, because it's like they tell a story live for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they don't have a script, they don't have anything, they just get up there and say, and it's something that many people think that they could never do before, and they just do an amazing job. Yeah.
So you referenced my cards. Now I'm feeling a little
I don't even... What did I do? Sorry.
You just looked at my cards like, these people just get out there without any scripts looking at my cards like,
Oh.
thanks.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean
Okay, so what's your next gigs, and what do you have coming up next?
I'm so excited about my next gig. I brought some postcards too. So the next one, they're all themed. So the one in March that I did was on International Women's Day. And it was Nevertheless She Persisted. And all the videos are online. So if you go to Our Bold Voices, you can see each woman's story.
That was really a beautiful show, Paul.
And Joey was one of my sponsors. Oh, thank you. The next show is on May 10th. And May, I'm sure no one, like, you all knew about the bike ride, right? I bet no one here knows, except for you because you work in aging, May is Older Adults Month. Anybody know that? See, I know something for the first. So every year the federal government has Older Americans Month, right? It's a chance to celebrate, but we don't celebrate because we tend to shelve away our older people. We tend to sort of take that voice away. We don't really have the time. And as I'm aging myself, I see that in the store. It's like, sir, you have to put that chip in this way. It's not, I was like, do you remember your code number? Yeah. So like there is sort of this belittling that I see. So what I'm doing for May 10th, 5 new voices. These are 5 older adults. Each one's like, I don't think I have a story. Yeah, you do. And so we are doing the storyboards right now. I do it all one-on-one, and then we bring it together in a group workshop. And so that will be their first time on stage at the Mission Theater, because why shouldn't they be able to be in an awesome place with 200 and some people? So that's the May 10th theme. It's called Audacious Aging. And one of my women that really wanted to be in the March show, she was in Europe. And so I gave her the other date because she's older. And she goes, well, I guess I'll do Old and Bold. And she's one of the speakers. So anyway, it's going to be fabulous if you can come. There's this incredible energy. It's May 10th. Tickets are only $10. What's not to love?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paul Iarrobino.
Thanks very much, Dan.
All right, that time means again, it's time for another Fast Five. Paul, you're not going anywhere. Paul.
Oh, Fast Five. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm from the East Coast. I can do
Here
fast.
are tonight's Fast Five.
Oh, Fast Five.
You,
Okay,
Paul.
yes. Oh,
all right.
Okay, yes.
So, who and where was your first concert in Portland?
Chaka Khan. Ain't nobody loves me better, makes me happy, makes me feel this.
Okay, so we've got Wiz Khalifa and Chaka Khan. I love where this is going. All right.
Okay.
Mine, by the way, King Sunny Ade. All right.
Oh.
So what's your first pick for a romantic night out in Portland?
Okay, I've been married for a while. Okay, let me think about this. Romantic night out in Portland. Romantic night. You know, I would say I love going to that Swift thing in the fall and September and getting a blanket out there and just watching those little tiny birds do that thing.
So this is every September at Chapman School in Portland, over at Raleigh and 27th about. The whole neighborhood gets out and
so
covers
nice.
the entire field and watch these swifts come down into the chimney.
It's just wonderful. If you haven't done it, do it. It's every fall, and they just go in that little brick fireplace thing. Chimney, thank you. Yeah, so anyway, that's my idea of romantic.
That's awesome.
Best I can come up with.
When you have friends come in from out of town, what's the first place you want to take them?
Or not take them. So I'm one of those crabby people who've been here for a while who say things like, well, I used to want to take you there, but it's too crowded now. It's been discovered by all those hipster people, sorry. So I have to think and say, I don't think this place is found out yet. So if I'm local to Portland, I like to take them to some restaurants that are sort of like off the beaten path that have been around a while, and I'm not going to tell you which ones they are because then you'll go. So that's where I'll go, and then if I'm going out of town, is that the question too, or
that's another one.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, which is what's your first pick for a day trip out of Portland?
Well, we just did this recently. I've never been to Yachats before. And it was pretty amazing. We rented a house right in the ocean, and it was great. I've been to Lincoln City, and I've been to, Manzanita, which I love. You guys love Manzanita? It's a great place. But something about going further south, and just it wasn't as crowded, and there was a great energy there. So Yachats is my first time I went there just recently, and I will go back.
That's awesome. I love Yachats. So if you could rename any street in Portland, what's the first name that you would think of?
Well, when I moved here from back east, like a long time ago, before some of you were born, I was really resentful of the pronunciations of things, and I was like, fuck, I'm not using that, and I don't care. So they'd say, it's pronounced couch. I'm like, fuck, where I'm from, it's pronounced couch, okay? It's a fucking couch. Okay, so I can't swear, sorry.
No, that's totally fine.
It's pronounced couch, like, get over yourself. And then they're saying, and then I was just like ethnicizing everything. I'm like, it's the Willamette River. And they're like, it's the Willamette. I'm like, oh, that's so freaking tame. So, like, and then there's like Gleason, but then like it's, I don't know, is it pronounced, supposed to pronounce like glisten? I don't know.
Supposed to be glisten.
Supposed to be glisten, like men sweat, women glisten. Like, it's just like, I don't like the pronunciations of the names, so I just would just say, call it fucking Couch Street. It's a fucking couch. It's a couch. It's couch. Okay, so I don't know if I really answered your question.
No, that's fantastic.
Okay,
that's obvious. That's lovely. So, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Paul Iarrobino. Thank you. So we're going to take a quick break, get a drink with Eugene up at the bar, and get your name in the metal little thing for a chance to win, a chance to play My Real Portland, the game show. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. All right, welcome back to My Real Portland. My Real Portland is brought to you by me, Joseph Lyons, realtor with Cooper Realty. I help buyers and sellers across the Portland metro area make their real dreams become real estate. Learn more about me at josephlyons.com. All right. I've got names in this little cube up here, and I am going to draw two people to be guests on tonight's My Real Portland, the game show. Oh, do you want to know what winners of tonight's My Real Portland, the game show win?
What?
It's a My Real Portland, the pint glass. Now, my producer, he's this real jerk. His name is Joseph Lyons. He's got his logo on the other side of it, but you'll enjoy this side, the My Real Portland, the pint glass. Okay, so tonight's contestants Natalie Facciani. Come on down. And it's Ben Banner. On the stools. Get on up. Okay. All right. Welcome. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
And how are you?
Fantastic.
All right. Good. Great. Glad to hear from you. All right. Now, you're each going to get a chance to answer, and there's going to be 3 questions, and the person closest to each correct answer wins each round. The person who wins the most rounds wins the game. All right. So you ready to play? Okay. Question 1. Portland's first burial ground was located at the intersection of which streets? First burial ground.
I want to say Burnside.
Burnside and Barnes. Okay, we're going way out in the west side.
Yeah.
Ben?
I have no idea, but Oregon City was probably before Portland, and
Yeah, this is the first one in Portland.
yeah, so one of the ones down in Lens.
One of the one down in Lens. All right. So you're both about as far away, but Natalie, you're on the right side of the river. The first burial ground was between Second and Pine, or at Second and Pine in Southwest.
Oh.
What's on
I
it?
was gonna guess Lone Fir.
You were gonna guess Lone Fir. Everyone was. So that was the first burial ground in 1847, and I have danced in that block. Okay, so question 2: in what year was Portland named the City of Roses? We're gonna go to Ben first.
1949.
1949. All right, and Natalie.
I don't know, somewhere in the 20s?
Somewhere in the 20s. Natalie, you have already won with 2 rounds to you. The City of Roses was first named in 1888.
Wow.
1888. Okay, now this one, if either of you get this question right, you win the whole round because it'd be impossible for you to get. How many varieties of roses are at the International Rose Test Garden? Give you just a second to think about how many varieties of roses. Now there are over 10,000 individual plants, if that gives you any help at all. Natalie, how many do you think there are?
I'm going to go with 6,000 varieties.
Okay, 6,000 varieties. Ben?
700.
700. Ben, you are closest, but you are still off. It is 650. So Natalie, you are the winner of tonight's My Real Portland, the game show, and the winner of My Real Portland, the wine class. Okay. Speaking of roses, my next guest is going to be tomorrow celebrating her 5th anniversary of being in business. She can be seen daily in Portland's living room, Pioneer Courthouse Square. She is a true Portland ambassador. Please welcome the owner of Spellbound Flowers, Miss Nico Bella. Welcome to the stage, Nico.
Excellent soundtrack.
I know, right? When I booked Nico, this was the first thing that I thought of, was that I wanted to bring her up to David Bowie.
And Moulin Rouge.
What's that?
And Moulin Rouge.
You know what's funny is I almost decided to pick something from Moulin Rouge.
I like that both of those things come to mind.
But I
I'm doing
didn't
well
because
in
I
this
thought
world.
It would be too literal. But I like the David Bowie. Okay, so I have been a fan of your floral work for years. I've been watching you for years online. It is just amazing. Her Facebook page is filled with some of the most beautiful works. And one of the most beautiful things I've seen you do is the crown work that you do, and you use yourself as a model. How is it designing for yourself?
Well, most of the time I want to get to wear them before anyone else does. It's sort of like the Silverstein prayer for the selfish child. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my toys to break so no one else can play with them. I get to wear them first.
Oh, I love that.
I get all the pretty things. And I'm like, it's used. You're welcome.
Do you have any flowers that you love working with? I mean, that is silly.
I like, I know it's so beyond cliche thinking that we are in the city of roses, but roses are my favorite.
That's awesome.
I was born over Memorial Day weekend, and so every year the Rose Festival pretty much ushers in my being born. And so that created a colossal ego as a child, because when you have a father saying, it's for you, you're like, that's a start. It's good.
All the sailors are in town just for you.
All for me. It's wonderful. It turns me into Judy Garland. It's wonderful.
So you have a wonderful front view of the entire city from the corner that you have at the square. Tell me what...
I work one of the best corners in town. It's true.
What's some of the amazing things that you've seen there? I mean, I'm sure you've seen all sorts of crazy things happen.
It happens, I mean, from the microscopic moments to the macroscopic moments. And I can say by macroscopic, last Saturday, and I can't really talk about it yet without bursting into tears, so we're not going to go too deep. But last Saturday, I had to close early because I could not quite stand there with all of that in my body anymore. It was one of the most jaw-dropping moments to witness in Portland. I got there, I knew to get there early because I knew I wouldn't be able to get through the square. This was for the March for Our Lives, in case anyone isn't aware, and for our listeners. Hello, listeners. But I knew to get there early, and at 10:40, I saw the wave coming. And at 12:03, the last patrol car passed. It was a nonstop sea of people.
That must have been amazing.
It was intense. I mean, there's just no other word for it, that it was amazing. And I knew at that moment, I just kept hitting play on all the best songs from Hamilton, because this wasn't about the adults, it was for the kids, and having the kids throw their hands up and like screaming "Rise Up" with it. I kept playing the song that he and Ben did, that was their song for March for Our Lives, because this was for them. It was my job to not only hold that corner and make it beautiful, but it was my job to soundtrack with them and play along with them and high five them. That is, I'm 42. My generation didn't get it so right with leading up to this, but our kids, our nieces, nephews, goddaughters, godsons, all of them, it is our job to protect them and fund them and high five them. When the hate preacher showed up on the corner with his big stupid sign, I made a bigger sign and handed it off to the kid in the pink and blue flag who was wearing it like a cape and said, "Stand here, hold it higher." And they looked at me like they had a job. And we were in this together. And that is what we do. Stand there, hold this, hold it higher. I got you. Anyone looks at you sideways, because I'm a scary auntie to have. Believe me, you don't want to mess with it. Usually I'm just scary in general, and it's my non-Portland thing. I don't know how being born and raised here turned me into what I am. But I go to the East Coast, I'm like, oh, I can move here.
The first time I went to New York, I actually felt like, oh, I'm finally home. And I'm from Portland. I mean,
I'm not loud, I'm not bossy. Oh my God. When people hear me speak, like, I was in line somewhere and I'm like, cashier's open, and the lady's like, you don't need to shout. And I'm like, it's sort of like the thing about I'm like, it's just my fucking face. I'm not mad. It's just my face. It's my voice. It's my tone. It's my everything. I like to take up room.
So speaking of taking up room,
everybody in Portland talks like
this. You've been a performer. You've been in theater.
What, this whole thing? Let me tell you a story, kid.
And you have so much flair, and it comes out through your floral work, but it comes out in so many different ways. What kind of you've done all sorts of performances over the years.
We were just discussing before this. I went to from high school, I went into theater conservatory and pretty much immediately discovered that I did not want to be in it all the time because I hate being told what to do. That is your job as an actor, is to like being told what to do. I'm like, this ain't for me. And I mean, I still will perform, but it really takes a good director to know who they're casting me for, how they're working with me. I mean, I took up this much space at 17 years old. And it was loud. I had a big voice. I had a deep voice. I was not good for ingenue words. Although I always wanted to play them because they got the best dresses. But I knew that my life in performance, or that would be, it's like, give it 25 years to age. I was like good barrel whiskey, you know. It was like once I hit my Rosalind Russell years, where I can just take up the whole damn room, I'm fine with it. But that's why I like doing what I do, how I do it. Is that I get to take up space on my corner. I have this, it's a little bit Circus Barker, it's a little bit being a bartender, it's a little bit this. I get to hear people's stories. And one of the things that makes Spellbound unique is that I tell stories with flowers. I know what every single flower I sell means. So when you're buying flowers, I can be like, what's the occasion? Who's it for? What's this about? And I can give it a deeper meaning. So it's like, my favorite, I get to tell my favorite story here. This kid comes up, and this was the era of the studded sunglasses a la Kanye. He comes up and he's like, yo, I need to get a rose. I'm like, yo, okay, we get you a rose. Which one you want? Yo, I want red rose. I'm like, red rose, wait. What is this? Is this a first date? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you ready to say I love you? And he's like, oh, no. I'm like, get a pink rose. We start here, this means this, or, and then you maybe next move up to an orange rose because it means this. He comes back and he's like, gets an orange rose at one point. Then he comes back this day and he just swaggers up to me. He's like, yo, I need a red rose. Couple weeks later, he comes up with his friend, and he's telling him the stories. And he's like, yo, she gave me my rose game. Hello! But that's the coolest thing. Like, this is my place in why I do it the way I do it and how we do it is because I get to, anybody can walk up. I don't care if you have quarters. I don't care. It makes it accessible. Sometimes when there's a door, just the action of opening a door has a price tag on it that most people can't afford. But somebody can spend $1.50 and have that $1.50 be meaningful for me. They walk away like they are holding a scepter. And they, sometimes the people who spend $150, they do not give a fuck. They're like, I don't know, someone's dead, whatever, send it big. It's fine, I don't care. You get those phone calls sometimes. You're like, it's for my aunt. I didn't really know her. And you hear these stories. I get to participate in like every stage of someone's life. I have had first dates. I have had people who've never actually met and they're meeting at that corner. Do you know how many people meet for the first time? Or, they buy and sell other things, but they meet for the first time. I got a window on that. Like, do you think I am deaf and or slow? I just saw that. And I yelled that at people, and that's why people don't like me. Like, I've heard there's cameras. I've heard the flower lady's a narc. I like to start rumors about myself. It's kind of rad. But I get to participate in many different layers of people's lives, whether they're saying hellos, goodbyes, I'm sorries. I've got to sell first date flowers that have turned into engagement flowers that have turned into doing the wedding, and then baby flowers. In 5 years, I've got to see this life cycle, and I get to be involved in people's lives that way. And it really is, like, although the one advice when guys come up, they're like, I fucked up, and I'm like, okay, first bit of advice. Don't do that again. Whatever it is you did, don't do it again. That means more than flowers. And don't keep buying flowers every time you fuck up. Because otherwise, anytime you walk through the door with flowers, she's going to be like, what'd you do? What'd you do? You can't do it without any sort of implications at a certain point. So, yeah, that's my story about participation.
That's great. Well, and actually, you have been there at points in my family's
transitions, and I haven't wanted to trust anyone else with those. And so being able to come to somebody who I know in my town, and somebody who is really a true Portland ambassador is really just a tremendous gift to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nico Bella.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, hang on.
Oh,
You're not
yes.
anywhere. You've got tonight's Fast Five.
We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow?
That means it's time for tonight's third Fast Five. Here are tonight's Fast Five. Nico.
Are you calling me fast?
I just might be. Who and where was your first concert or show in Portland?
The one that I don't remember is apparently I was strapped to my mom and she took me to see Heart on the Dreamboat Annie tour at Portland Meadows in 1975, the year that I was born.
Wow.
So that was the first one that I do not remember. The first that I remember, and this is pretty epic, was being taken to go see Devo at the Schnitzer.
Wow.
And the thing I remember more than anything, other than the completely terrifying huge screens when they were doing like the ha, 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 like it was terrifying as a child. But the beautiful nude statue, the armless nude, was wearing a spud collar and hat. And I still have my hat, and I'm very proud of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember my stepdad came upstairs with a flower pot on his head, and he's like, "We're ready." And I'm like, "Please stay home." I'm 7. You're embarrassing. Please, God, no.
That's funny. Did he paint it red?
No, he just was like.
What's your first pick for a romantic night out in Portland?
I like pinball.
That's awesome. Where?
There's many good places, although it depends. If this is a situation where someone is being initiated, they must engage in air hockey. So that means Avalon. It's feats of strength. They only make it past a certain gateway.
See, I stopped going out to arcades when at Wonderland at 102nd and Halsey. That's been ages
Yeah.
ago.
No, I like the old Belmont one. A high school boyfriend worked there, so I have fond memories of it. Fondle memories. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Fast forward through this cut. But Ground Control always is a favorite of mine. Anywhere that has good pinball. I mean, that's because you can talk and you can, that's a great romantic thing to me because
That's a great
cute,
idea, and hopefully some of the listeners at home.
you can
will
flirt, you
excite
can walk
for
too
that.
close, you can lean against the machine. All sorts
Use
of
it
good
as a
stuff.
prop.
It is.
So when you have friends come in from out of town, where's the first place you want to take them?
I really wish we had more things to do here.
It's such a.
I'm
lack
so
of time.
tired of shopping and eating. I mean, that's the thing. Okay, I grew up over in Selwood Moreland. You could go to the antique stores, and now it's like, well, there's like 4, and then there's like a bunch of crap. There's like, oh, that's a really boring, very expensive, not even cute handbag. Why is it as much as a Louis? It's not even a Louis. Ew. But I remember my father's house was over off Division on Lincoln Street. And Division used to just be like auto shops. It was where things were made. It was where things were fixed. And now it's where you eat. You just eat. And I was like, what is going on here? I wish there were more things to do. There used to be, we're losing venues left and right. Yeah. Now we're gaining venues here and there, but it's really a challenge to me. My one, when anyone is here, Montage. Always Montage, because Montage remains. It has the same crappy attitude. It's still wonderful. It's still affordable. And and by crappy attitude, I have a terrible attitude. And I really appreciate it in myself. I don't care what anyone else says. But I like that saltiness. To me, that's real Portland. And being down in that area, it's kind of like the last territory that's left. It's like we've got some character here. It's like Steve Martin in The Jerk, where he's talking about the prizes you win. It's like below here and not as far as the chiclets, so just here.
Well, it's hysterical about the montage because that answer would have been okay a couple of decades ago too, and it would have fallen out of fashion. But it's back in now because it is like the last
thing
Portland
left.
thing. I mean, it was a joke.
I mean, that's what I was trying to explain. That's when certain things downtown, my map of when I was a teenager and used to skip school. I went to Cleveland. We used to run out on a bell. There was 110 that pulled up in front of the school, like right during a break on a bell, and you could make a run for it. And you would get off the 10 right at the square. And we always talk, okay, what was your map? What was your map when you were downtown? It was like, oh, Meyer and Frank. And then we went to Nordstrom and put on all the makeup and the perfume. And then we went and rocked around Big Bang. You know, we had this really elaborate map of downtown. Nothing's left. And it's weird to me, like when Art Media left and Finnegan's left, that was the last reach of what was my Portland growing up. And so I try to show people, it's really hard to walk around and be like, well, something cool used to fucking be here, but it's like a stupid growler bar, and it's bullshit, and I don't even like beer, you know. And it's you know, and I don't like to be that snarky, crappy Portlander. It's always just like, well, cool things used to happen here. And it used to be affordable. And I'm like, because it's still good. We still have Cinema 21. We still have so many yummy things that are here. I just have to remember sometimes to not be a total a-hole about it. And remember, I gotta peel back. Things need to change. I have to go through my meditation about it. Everything changes.
And sometimes you have to get out of town for a day.
Yes.
Right? So where would you go for a day?
I like to go, my favorite day trips, I mean, always Seattle, but that's not anymore. It's like a 2-day trip because there's so much cool shit to do up there. You don't want to leave. I lived there for 10 years after, like any good Portlander in 1994, I ran because there was nothing to do here at that time other than like get drunk with crappy band dudes, and I didn't want to do that. So I went to college up in Seattle, and then I stayed. Seattle is always a favorite trip to make, but if it's more localized, going up to Astoria, I love it up there.
I was just there last week.
But you have to take the right drive. I'm super picky about it. I'm like, no, we have to go the pretty way. It's just like when my grandmother lived out in Canby growing up, and I was like, no, we have to take McLaughlin because there's more stuff to look at. I hate freeways. I like to go the pretty way where you see all the little things.
So which way is the pretty way? Are you going through Mist and Jewel and the very back way?
I like going up through St. Helens. And like that, that round, because I like how big the sky gets up there. Like once the rivers kind of meet, the sky gets huge, and I love it.
And then when you finally see the bridge, it's just...
They set that up on purpose. It sucks you.
Goonies at heart. All right, if you could rename a street, we're going to change Portland, make it a better town. What name would you think to change?
Mississippi could be, God, there's so many. Oh, they're all so snarky. Mississippi could be, did you really need to bring your dog and a stroller? Boulevard?
That's great.
Really, Cheryl?
Really, Cheryl Boulevard.
Really, Cheryl Boulevard. It's just a question mark. Really, Cheryl? Really?
All right, that's great. Thank you, everyone. Nico Bella. Okay, my final guest this evening I've known for over a quarter of a century. We met at the theater department at Southern Oregon State College in the early 90s, and our paths continue to cross here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome singer-songwriter Joaquin Lopez.
Alrighty. I love how in producing this, you're actually able to cut and paste instead of being live. Which is different because I remember, I guess just shut up because this is stuff I could share when we're talking. But I remember because I was performing here before too, and everything has to just be perfect. And then if you fuck up, it's like, oh shit, oh well, whatever. Okay, let me just put this in front of my mouth so it picks it up. It's a pleasure to be here with all you all. My name is Joaquin, and Joey and I go back many years. And it's a pleasure to be here. So, Joe or Joey?
I go by either.
Or Jose?
Yeah.
Don't Pepe.
Don Pepe. We went to Southern Oregon University together. And we studied theater arts. And that was in the mid-90s. And lots has happened since then. And now we're in our 40s. And it's just like, what happened to those 20 years? And I finally feel like after all that I'm finally here. It's like, okay, now this is Joaquin. This is Joaquin. I don't know what, actually I know what that was, but this is Joaquin. I was gonna be a great big movie star. And I went to LA with my dreams, and I just got pummeled, and I did not have the mental stability to like stand back up and get over it. I was just smashed. So I came back in a very depressed state, and I lived in Portland, and I stayed in Portland for a while, and I lived with my parents. And I worked with my parents, and I wrote this song during that time period. That was in like 2000, 2001. Where have I been? So empty inside, living each day like a suicide. Where have I gone? What have I seen? Searching outside myself on the street. I've been away for far too long. Where is the road to my so-called home? And where is the life I've left so far behind? Where is the living in this so-called life? Ooh. Where is the living in this so-called life? I feel I'm alone wherever I go. I cannot connect to people I know. I try to relax, I try to be free, and all that comes out is this, trying to be. I've been away for far too long. Where is the road to my so-called home? And where is the life I've left so far behind? Where is the living in this so-called life? Ooh. Where is the living in the so-called life? I've been away for far too long. Where is the road to my so-called home? And where is the life I've left so far behind? Where is the living in this so-called life? Ooh, where is the living in this so-called life?
Ladies and gentlemen, Joaquin Lopez. Joaquin, you used to host a show actually in this very venue.
Yeah.
What's it like to be back?
It's great to be back. I love this venue. I love the greenness. I love Eugene. He's great. He's a great everything, great cook, great host. And I had a show here called Corazón Acústico, and I used to bring together different artists to perform, and the music was always inspired by Latin American folk, and it was a really nice time. I think maybe Adrienne was here during those times too. I remember her bringing her mom. That was cool. And I think I even sang Bésame to your mom, or something like that, no? And so it was really nice. It was really nice. I really love this venue.
That's fantastic. And you've done so many different things over the years. I wouldn't even call it, I don't even know if you call it a career, because it's way beyond. In fact, you're currently going to back in school. I mean, we met each other studying theater. What are you doing in school right now?
So right now I'm getting a master's in counseling at Portland State University.
And when do you finish?
I graduate on June 15th.
Awesome.
I know.
Right around the corner.
Oh my God. I know, right around the corner. And it's bittersweet because I'll be ending my kind of arts and culture career, which I'm really, it's bittersweet because I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at. But I want to now just focus on helping others, make really good decisions in their lives. And I also want to focus on being an individual artist. So not so much like managing arts programs or that kind of stuff. I just want to focus more on my voice and what I want to present to the world.
Well, and it sounds like you even have an album coming out later this year?
Later this year. Nobody knows about it.
Oh,
and
do I need to cut that out of the show?
You don't need to cut it out of the show.
All 5 listeners
but
will.
Let me, y'all. I'm doing something. So talking about age, is age your motif tonight? Is that
no, that's Paul's motif for his next show.
Okay.
We're talking about first tonight, but it doesn't matter.
Well, so I'm 42, and it's like, you reach a point where it's like, fuck, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start doing the things I want to do. Yes. And
that's right. That's tonight,
whatever I accomplish or not doesn't matter, because you can't take it with you. And so I am going to just enjoy the rest of my life. I probably won't get 42 years, but whatever. I'm just going to enjoy it because I'm tired. My bones and my soul is just tired. And I just can't believe that I have to not enjoy the rest of my life. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. And so I'm working on this CD. And it is like an electronic pop dance CD that I've always wanted to do because I've always wanted to be a pop artist. And so I'm loving it. It's so good. And it's in Spanish, and it's like nothing I've ever heard. And I'm working with some rockers, and they're just like having a great time. So I'm so excited. And it'll come out, I'm hoping, at the end of this year, early next year. So we'll see what happens.
That is totally exciting. And people can get a hold of you at WaquinLopezMusic.com or Instagram, Joaquin Lopez Music.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And anything else coming up? Any appearances?
No, the only other thing I'm appearing in is this summer. There's a show. It'll be the 10-year anniversary of a show I produced called Voz Alta. And in Voz Alta, I interview people in the Latino community, and I rewrite their story into poetic narratives, and then I get actors to perform them live with musicians scoring it. And it's a really cool thing I've been doing for about 10 years. And I'm debating, am I going to continue doing this for 10 years? It's a lot of work, but I love it. I enjoy it a lot. And I'll be doing that in August.
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
August.
I'll keep my eyes out for that.
Yes, please
that's
do.
Awesome. Would you want to join us for one more song this evening?
Sure, I'll sing one more song.
Okay, but before you do that,
okay,
we've got to have tonight's final Fast Five.
Oh, yeah.
All right, it is tonight's final Fast Five. Joaquin, are you ready for the final Fast Five?
I am ready.
Okay, so where and when was, and who was your first concert or show in Portland?
I was about to think you were going to ask me Kiss, but that's not, and I've been hearing this whole time, so I knew these questions. My first concert was actually this band. I didn't know who they were. They were called Zymox. I was 15 years old, and it was at the Melody Lane Ballroom, and my boyfriend at the time said it was a cool thing to do, so that's what we did. We went to the Melody Lane Ballroom. We lived in Loa. We took the bus, and we made it into Portland, and that's where we went. We saw Zymox at the Melody Lane Ballroom.
Oh, that's awesome. So if that wasn't a great, was that a romantic night?
It was not a romantic night, no.
Okay, so if you had to choose a romantic night in Portland, where would you go?
Oh my God, where would I go? If I had to choose a romantic night in Portland, I would go to Verde Cocina. I like their food. I was there just recently, and I really liked it. The one on Barber, or like Capitol Hill, something like that, or Capitol Highway. It's so good. And I love ending dates at Pick's Patisserie.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
That's really nice.
Sweet.
And I don't think I would take them anywhere else. But I do like, what I do think is really romantic is walking around the waterfront. I like that. That feels really nice. I like seeing all the stars and the river.
And that just reminded me of my first date. And we'll move on from that. Okay, so what's your first pick for a day trip outside of Portland?
Astoria, hands down.
So
I love Astoria. I want to die in Astoria or retire in Astoria.
Are you a Goonie?
I'm not so much a Goonie. I'm just a real romantic, and I think Astoria is really romantic and so like beautiful and old and new and like historical and mysterious, and that big bridge. It's just like awe-inspiring, and it's the coast. So the coast has that really interesting kind of like culture, and I just love it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So if you could rename a street in Portland, which name would you choose?
Gosh, what name would I choose?
While you're thinking about that, my answer for this question is Darcel Boulevard. And I think we should rename Northwest 3rd Avenue Darcel Boulevard.
That's a great idea.
I know, right?
That's a really great idea.
Because I had the idea.
There's like a road like on 82nd. I think it's called Flavel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've always thought that was a strange name for a street. Maybe changing that.
Flavel. With an extra L-E at the end. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Joaquin. We're going to hear one more from you.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joaquin Lopez, everyone.
Something upbeat.
Señor doctor, me quiero morir. Vivir sin ella, solo sufrir. Y yo me quejo por su regreso, porque sin ella no puedo vivir. Señor doctor, ayúdame ya. Quiero dormir, dame la pastilla. porque cuando duermo en ella sueño y así durmiendo yo puedo vivir. La cosa triste en esta vida, cómo me matan, cómo me agüitan, cómo me dejan todo enterrado con mis amigos babosos gusanos. La cosa triste en esta vida, cómo me matan, cómo me agüitan, cómo me dejan todo enterrado con mis amigos babosos gusanos. Ay, doctor, qué dolor, el amor. Ay, doctor, qué dolor, el amor. Ay, doctor, qué dolor. ¡Hey! I never thought 2 chords could do so much. Señor doctor, ayúdame ya. Ella clavó mis manos cruzadas. Santificado, ni soy católico. Ave María, me pongo a rezar. Señor doctor, ya yo te lo suplico. Quiero dormir, dale una pasilla. Aunque me traicionó, espero su regreso. Yo confundido de analizar la cosa triste en esta vida, cómo me matan, cómo me agüitan, cómo me dejan todo enterrado con mis amigos babosos gusanos. La cosa triste en esta vida, cómo me matan, cómo me agüitan, cómo me dejan todo enterrado con mis amigos babosos gusanos. Ay, doctor, qué dolor, el amor. Ay, doctor, qué dolor, el amor. Ay, doctor, qué dolor. Thank you.
Joaquin Lopez, everybody!
Yeah.
And that has been My Real Portland! Thank you to all my guests, Lyons, Iarrobino, Nico, Joaquin Lopez, Chris Nelson's been on sound. I've been your host, Joseph Lyons, and you've been the greatest audience in Portland, My Real Portland, the audience.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming. Our next show will be live here at Portland's Jade Lounge at 23rd and Ankeny on April 25th at 7 p.m. Happy hour is at 6:30, so get here early. And finally, I dedicate tonight to my mom, Beverley Jo Lyons. Good night!
It's always been home, I've always been here, I've always got time for one more beer. So pick up a beer and pull up a chair and strike up the band. It's My Real Portland.